Alright, so, just like I promised last week, here's my first combiner, Havoc. Alright, I'll start with the first limb that I designed. They don't have individual names. They don't have individual, because they don't have individual robot modes. But, this is a half-track thing. Sorry, the lighting's really bad. Let's see if I can. Yeah, this is a half-track thing. It's got a wheel on the front, tracks on the back, uh, two guns on top. There's too much black on this. Should probably fix that for like display or whatever. And like a windshield here. It's a little bit annoying because there's a gap here. You can't really tell from this angle, but the wheels can't really go straight on the ground because these tiles in the bottom have to hold everything together. There's a 1x2 tile here and another one there. It's black. But so yeah, it's not entirely flat, as you might be able to tell. Yeah, I think that's a good angle. But each of these guns can individually rotate. Yeah, you can probably tell from that. Or, I don't know, this. So they can each individually rotate. They can both separately point up. I just moved one of them up there, but so this is Havoc's left leg from his perspective. So now I guess I'll bring in the next leg, which is a helicopter. I feel like most combiners don't really use an air vehicle for legs, but I did because it just kind of everything just kind of fit together. As I assume you'll notice, these aren't symmetrical. These aren't like mirror images of each other. Havoc is not anywhere near symmetrical. He can stand up straight, but it sort of looks like a combination of the G1 Devastator and the Transformers movie Devastator, because he can stand up on just two limbs, and he's not very top heavy. It's just that how do I say this? He's not very humanoid proportions. This helicopter here, this rotor can rotate 360 degrees, and then just due to connection, you can see how it's connected into the middle of this hinge here, and then just due to connection, it can rotate like that. It's on a joint like that, and then it's got two little, I don't know, skids on the bottom, and then on the back here, I tried to make this look like a tail rotor, but that's really tough to get at this scale. So, but it passes for a tail. As you can tell, there is a large hole through the center, which is annoying, but it couldn't really be helped. Also, this is my first combiner. Give me a little bit of grace. It's a little bit back heavy, but not a lot. Like, see this? It'll tip over like that, but not that badly. As you can tell, this is the center of balance, and then the center of gravity, I don't even know where that would be. Probably somewhere about here, maybe? I don't know. That green piece. But you can see how it changes from 3 wide to 2 wide using this piece here, using this rounded plate. So then, these are Havoc's two legs. You can see how they scale next to each other. This is supposed to be a windshield. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but I assume you could gather that. You can see the helicopter is significantly longer and taller, but this is denser. And this is very not. As you can tell, I can just support it by this hinge and still leave it at a slight angle. So these are Havoc's 2 legs, and now I guess I'll move on to his arms. Alright, so here's Havoc's right arm. As I hope you can tell, this is a tank. It's not a very good one. There's a gap between the 2 front treads, but I was just trying to get really anything that could turn into something vaguely arm-like out of something vaguely vehicle-like. So here's his right arm. Tank arm can go up, or barrel, whatever, can go up. It can rotate, sort of, but due to the fact that it's flush when it's folded all the way down, when you try to rotate it, it goes up because of the corners. Annoying, but I'm not really sure how to fix that due to transformation. There's like a hinge right in the center that I can't just replace with a rounded plate. But his other arm is an airplane. Yeah, I know these proportions aren't really great next to each other, like of the separate vehicles, but it's got a little windshield up here. It's got 2 wings. Doesn't really have any tail rotors. Looks more tail, wings, whatever. Looks more like a fighter jet, I guess. It can balance pretty well due to how the claw, hand, finger thing has to fold up on the bottom. But what's annoying is how due to the way it like folds up, these things keep getting pushed in. So that's both of his arms. Now I'll look at the torso. Sorry about that vicious beast in the background. Not sure if you can see it. There is Cat. Cat says hi. Kit Kat, do you say hi? She says hi. His torso, Havoc's torso is made out of 2 separate vehicles. I don't even know what they're supposed to be. This one, I really just figured out how to put wheels on a brick. On like a chunk of plastic. So this could be like some sort of van thing. This is a crane / fire truck. It can extend out. I just really needed a way to hide the head. So this is what I came up with. Which is also why there's a divot in there. But it's kind of got a windshield, almost. There's a lot of gaps in there. So many different plates. This one doesn't really have a defined windshield. I considered this the front just because it could arguably be considered more of the front. But sadly, due to the way it's designed, the wheels are not completely flush, so whenever you put it down, it ends up looking like this. Which is annoying, but I don't have the pieces or the knowledge to get it level. Actually, I probably could find the pieces. I just don't have them readily accessible. So, to bring all of these back in, you can see how they scale. This is most certainly the smallest, but this half track is probably next smallest. Fire truck, crane thing, tank. Not sure which bigger, tank or helicopter. I'd say helicopter. And then the plane. So the 2 air vehicles are by far the biggest. Next to each other, they don't scale badly, I guess. The plane probably should be a little bigger in relative to the helicopter, but the scale was tough with this. And then even the biggest and the smallest next to each other look like what you'd actually see in real life. But altogether, nothing really scales that badly. So, with the vehicle modes out of the way, I guess I'll transform Havoc into his robot mode. So, to start with, I will transform Havoc's left leg. This is actually the first one that I designed. I'll do these in order that I made them. So, to start, you're going to go looking at it from the top with like the windshield forward. You are going to go to this side, and then rotate this tread 180 degrees, so it looks like this. And then, this is going to be tough to show, just drag it out like this, basically as much as you can. And then to bring out the foot, these two rotating hinges right here, you're going to pull both of these back together so that it looks like this. And then fold down both of these treads so that it looks like this. And then rotate this one like this, bring it up so that it's flush. And then this one is kind of annoyingly not able to be completely flush, but bring it up like this, and if you do it right, it should be at an angle. And then this big green wad here, you're going to rotate up this wheel along this hinge, like so. So it looks like this. And then, let's see, rotate the wheel until it's opposite of the windshield, and then rotate this gun 180 degrees without moving the wheel. And then turn around, rotate up the windshield, and then collapse this on the hinge, so then the gun barrel should be touching. And then finally rotate this up like this, so then it should look like this. And then this here is Havoc's left leg. Havoc's right leg is the helicopter, the second thing that I designed. You're going to start by just basically straightening everything out like this. I'm just going to rotate this so that's easier for you guys to see. Rotate this so that the tips of the blades are both pointing up like this. And then bring them both forward like this so that they meet. Like this. And then, let's see, rotate both of these landing skids down. Rotate them up on this hinge. Oh. And then rotate them down again, so that they should be rotated 180 degrees on these angled clips than they were before. And then you're going to have to, let's see, rotate it out just a little bit so you have room for the foot. And then bring it up, so it should resemble this. And then straighten the windshield so that it lines up with the rotors. And then bring everything in, rearrange it a little so that everything fits. And then it should resemble this so far. And then you're going to rotate this tail 180 degrees, bring it all the way up, and then rotate this tail rotor really any way you want, it doesn't really matter. And then let's see, yeah, this is, and then just kind of compress everything a little bit. Man, these skids do not want to cooperate. So bring it out, see, there. And then once everything's compressed, it should resemble this. Bringing in both legs for scale, you can see how both of these two pins on top are at the same height as each other, which is where they connect. Next, I will start on the right arm, which is this tank, the third vehicle I designed. You're going to bring this barrel all the way up. You're going to rotate both of these treads up on both sides. I'm not going to bother rotating it because I don't need to. Then it should look like this. And then you're going to bring it out like this. So then it should separate here. And then bring it all the way around. point this out because that's the shoulder joint. And over here, this, you're going to rotate the gun turret 180 degrees, and then bring it back down, and then bring this, I don't know, cut out a little bit in so that it lines up. And then you can bring this forward a little bit to kind of form an elbow. And then this is Havoc's left arm. Let's see. His right arm is... His right arm was the fourth thing that I designed. You're going to start by bending down this windshield, bending out the shoulder joint, rotating the windshield 180 degrees, and bringing it back up. And then these wings back here, these joints here, you're going to bring them both out so that it looks like this. And then basically just compress everything until the tips of the wings are lined up with the windshield. And then these two clips here, you're just gonna straighten everything out like this. Here's like a comparison so you can see. You probably can't, too black. I need better lighting. But then straighten everything out, and then bring them down, and bring them in a little bit, and then bring the tips together. So then, this is Havoc's left arm, which is not a gun like the other one. I'm holding this from my perspective, so it's backwards for you. But these are Havoc's arms. And then the torso, I'll just bring in both because I don't see a reason to drag one over after. You'll start with this smaller one, bring up these front wheels, separate it along here, so that's basically one long string, and then bring it in on a separate joint. So it should be shorter but wider. And then rotate both of these wheels in. So then there's two studs over here for it to connect to. And then just bring it down on this hinge so that the wheels are pointing out, and then these other wheels are right here. And then you'll grab this other fire truck crane thing. Basically, flip this arm completely onto the bottom. Straighten everything. I'm not really sure how to describe this. So then you should have this upper torso. Clip this red piece onto these two studs here, like so. So then you can see how they connect here. And then push down this, bring it in a little bit, bring this up, and then just kind of wiggle everything together until it should fit in like this. And then this is Havoc's torso fully complete. And then to combine everything, I'll start with the legs. So, oh, that's difficult. I think that's how it went. So, there's a hole here and a hole here. It's not these middle two, it's the outer two. That's where you're going to fit these pins into. And then put this down to help you kind of have a guideline for straightening everything out. It is admittedly very difficult to get everything lined up just the way you want it to be. But eventually it should kind of be able to stand. And then straighten out these joints a little bit. You know what? Rotate this 180. Sorry, I'm just kind of doing stuff and voicing my train of thought. So then, it should be able to stand. And then you'll grab this tank arm. And then this wheel here is this upper one. You'll connect it. You'll just put it right onto the wheel. And then this other shoulder, this other arm, will connect in the exact same spot. I bent in the toe. So then this is Havoc in his fully combined robot mode. I will start with articulation. So I'll do the legs separately because they're different. They have two separate articulations or whatever. But I'll move this out of the way. You can move it back on this hinge and then forward kind of on this hinge. I'm not entirely sure which way is forward for this leg. It can rotate 180. It can rotate 360 degrees if you that the windshield always breaks off. You can move the leg 360 degrees if you like force everything else out of the way, but it is in theory possible. And then same with the other one. It can rotate 360. It's got this knee-ish joint here, and then it's got what could arguably be called like a heel tilt maybe, and a toe tilt, two separate like foot tilts. And then why does that always happen? This guy is quite delicate. Well, not quite delicate. If you like hold him, he won't fall apart, but it's just like if you try to like play with him in your hand, he might fall apart. And then this transformation joint here serves as his elbow. And they both obviously have 360 shoulder rotations. So this joint here serves as his elbow. And then they both have 360 shoulder rotations. Both arms do. And then over here, it doesn't. And then over here, he doesn't necessarily have like a defined elbow joint. But if you utilize all the transformation hinges, he can basically grab anything like that. So both of these fingers are individually articulated. Doesn't have like thumbs or anything. He just has pincers. But they've each got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 joints. There's this red fingertip. This blue can rotate, and then this hinge. There's a hinge here, and then the actual like where the finger connects to the hand, the knuckle, the main knuckle. So then, this here is. Oh, by the way, due to the vehicle articulation, you can get his head to do this, which I find amusing, to say the least. It's like giraffe. It's a little bit annoying, like the minor asymmetries are annoying, but it's offset by the fact that nothing about him looks the same as the other side. Like, this shoulder is way beefier than this one. And then back here, I love the look that all 4 treads together makes on the back of the arm. That wasn't intentional, but I just love that look. So next week, I will try to make, I'll try to make a video about something other than a transformer. So you'll just have to be intensely waiting for a week to see what that might be. See you next week. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.